Hey smart homers, welcome back to the DIY Smart Home Guide channel. Today we're going to walk you through getting the Ecobee thermostat integrated with your Hubitat Elevation Smart Home Hub. Stay tuned. Alright, it's time to have some thermostat fun. Today we're going to talk about three aspects of the Ecobee Hubitat combo. First, the setup with the Hubitat. Second, we'll be accessing a few of the Ecobee custom commands inside Hubitat. And finally, we're going to have a few automations that I have up and running in my home. And as we all know, having a thermostat connected into your smart home can be a very powerful feature. The good news is that the Hubitat Elevation supports a number of thermostats, including Ecobee, Go Control, Lutron, and many others. My main focus in this video is going to be integrating the Ecobee, but I suspect that you'll find a lot of useful information about what's relevant for other thermostats and some other automation ideas. I'm going to be using my Ecobee4, but these tips will also be useful for the Ecobee3, Ecobee3 Lite, and the new Ecobee Smart Thermostat with voice control. And obviously, since the Ecobee integrates through the cloud, there's going to be certain items that are specific to the Ecobee. This video is not a paid endorsement, and I receive no compensation for making this video. All product links in the description below are affiliate links, and I may receive commissions if you purchase products from these links. Some products shown in the video were provided to me for free from the manufacturer. However, the video should not be considered an endorsement for any of these products. Now, when it comes to controlling your Ecobee, the first step will be adding the Ecobee integration built-in app inside Hubitat. And just in case I leave anything out, I'll leave a link to the Hubitat webpage that provides all the details for integrating with the Ecobees. In the app section of Hubitat, you'll want to go to the Add Built-in App button. You should see Ecobee integration not too far from the top, but you can also search for Ecobee and find the app very quickly. Once the app is added, you'll need to log into your Ecobee account from Hubitat. If you have remote sensors, then you'll need to select the sensors that you want Hubitat to include in your device list. In my case, I selected them all. Next, you're going to want to set your data pull rate. This specifies how often Hubitat will reach out to the Ecobee servers to retrieve the information. Now, it's important that you pay attention to this warning. If you set the value less than 5 minutes, Ecobee could invoke a rate limiter, which could cause some of your automations to misbehave. Myself, I paid attention to this warning and I set my default to 5 minutes. And here's a tip. If you're having problems getting the Ecobee to provide data to or respond to your Hubitat, I would go and check here first and make sure that the Hubitat is still logged into the Ecobee website. I've had an occasion where I had to re-authenticate with Ecobee on this screen. If you see this "You are connected" message on the Ecobee login page and you've saved the settings, you're done. Well, almost. This just means that your Ecobee can control your thermostat as a normal device. If you want to enable controls or automations, we're going to need to dig a little bit deeper. I did a rather extensive live video covering Hubitat devices and dashboards. You'll find a link below. It's a rather long video, so you're going to want to set the playback speed to 1.5 to reduce the grind. If you need more information about how to deal with devices and dashboards, watching that video is going to be a good idea. So you might want to go check that out. But on to the next thing. Here's my Ecobee setup. I run an Ecobee4 with 5 remote sensors, and between the Ecobee itself and the remote sensors, I have 6 locations around the house that basically provide me with both temperature and occupancy. I use the Ecobee functions exclusively for controlling my temperature, home, away, and schedules. For example, watch TV and wake up have been set up as unique activities within my Ecobee. Now, I don't use the Hubitat to control any of these since I don't want to depend on the cloud integration. The Ecobee provides local control for all of these items, and that's important to me. I do, however, have a few of the sensors and some of the Ecobee commands integrated into my Hubitat. For example, I have the thermostat controller and the sensors integrated on a few dashboards, but other than looking at the current temperature and the mode, I really don't use these controls. Now, the reason I do it this way, just besides that I don't want that cloud integration, is the Ecobee does such a really good job of controlling the environment based on how we're living in our house, so I really don't need to make any adjustments. I also left a link to a review video for the Ecobee4 in the comments below. Getting the Ecobee onto a dashboard is a pretty simple task. Just make a new widget, assign it to the Ecobee, and set it to the thermostat device type. And the sensors are just as easy. You just pick the sensor that you want, you set it to motion detector device type, and you're all set. With that, let's get into some of the fun stuff. I want to get into some automations here. I plan to do a Hubitat rule machine review or how-to in more detail in a separate video, but I do want to walk through a few automations that center around the Ecobee specifically. The first is how I'm using the Ecobee sensors to control fans in certain rooms. In the case of my living room, when the sensor reports a temperature above 77 degrees, there's a rule to automatically turn on the fan. When the temperature drops below 77, you got it, the fan automatically turns off. And in case you're wondering, I'm from Phoenix and my wife is from Thailand, so we both tend to like the weather a little hotter than most. Don't judge me. Now, I did say that's a pretty simple automation, so let's get into something a little bit more complex. If you watched my original Hubitat review, I mentioned that one of the primary reasons I made the switch to Hubitat was the fact that Stringify was shutting down. This left a pretty big hole in my automation scheme. One of these automations is setting the heating and cooling points on my Ecobee to different values when the doors and windows are open. To accomplish this in the Hubitat, the first thing that I stumbled across is certain functions in the rule machine. They don't allow me to control the set away and resume program functions that are on the Ecobee side. But never fear. To access these, you're going to want to go into the Hubitat rule machine where you will find a section called Custom Commands. You're going to want to click on Custom Commands and then give your new command a name. In my case, I wasn't very original and I picked Custom Commands. Then slide on down to the capability and pick Thermostat. Once you select your thermostat, you should be able to pick your Ecobee from the list. Mine is simply named my Ecobee. I told you, I'm not very original. Once you click this Update button, you'll see a list of the custom commands that are available for your Ecobee. Here you can pick the set away and resume program functions. You're going to need to click the Save Command Now button after each time you add a function. And when you have all your functions in there, you're going to want to just click this Done button. And when you've clicked Done once, you're going to get to click Done again. When you're done, you're going to have the custom command set. Now that we have the custom commands of the Ecobee inside the Hubitat, let's walk through how I'm using this because I think this is going to help you out a little bit. Maybe it's going to help you out a lot a bit, I don't know, but let's go check this out because I think at least you're going to find it interesting. I had fun. All right, let me explain a little bit about what's going on in this rule here. So basically what I have is if there are doors and windows in my house that open and close, what I do is I have this extensive set of rules, triggers, and triggered rules set up that they're going to set my thermostat into what I call eco mode, which is changing it to the away setting, and then it's also going to turn on some accent lights around my house to a green color, and that gives me a visual indication that I've changed the normal settings on my thermostat. So when any door opens, if that rule is true, so any door open, the rule is true, the scene is eco activated. Eco activated is a group of lights that turn green, and the action Ecobee set away, that takes advantage of that custom command that I pulled in, and it fires off the set away command to my Ecobee thermostat. That adjusts the set points, both the heating and cooling set points, to lower temperature on the heat and a higher temperature on the AC, and that way when doors and windows are open past 1 or 2 minutes, then it just tells the thermostat, hey, don't be so aggressive on trying to maintain the temperature of the house. Once all the doors and windows resume closure, then I hit this virtual button hits this triggered rule, and the triggered rule then goes in and first it does resume program, so it hits that custom command for resume program on my thermostat, and it also then hits a triggered rule to say, hey, if it is daytime, I want you to go back to turn all the accent lights off, or if it's nighttime, go into the proper scene for setting up the lights throughout the house based on what time it is at night. Pretty simple, right? Okay, so I'm going to get into rules. Like I said before, I'm going to get into this deeper in a different video, but one thing that I do every time I create a rule is, at least if it's a complex rule, I try to make a little flow chart inside. I'm using just Google Slides, and I just make a little rule flow for everything that I want to accomplish. So that's pretty much it. Integrating your Ecobee into the Hubitat is a pretty simple affair. If you want the more advanced functions, those are pretty easy as well. With a little bit of imagination, you'll figure out some pretty cool stuff that can be done between these two awesome products. With that, thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and don't forget to click like. Over here, there's a couple of other videos that I picked out just for you. If you have any questions, just drop a comment below. You can follow me over on Facebook and Twitter. Both are at DIY Smart Home Guy. Until next time, cheers. Eyes are darting all over the place. Is it helping?